What up, guys? That Comic Awesome here, doing another review, doing the Terrifics number 3. This is slowly becoming one of my new favorite series. Just because, one, I love the banter between Metamorpho and Plastic Man. They have, the classic, again, I'm make the Fantastic Four comparison, but the the Johnny Storm, the Thing, kind of relationship where, Plastic Man's kind of the wise ass, and Rex is kind of again, he looks like the Thing. They've come back to our universe after the first two issues being stuck in the dark universe. They come back now only to find that they cannot be more than a mile apart. If they are more than a mile apart, they explode. Another side effect is Phantom Girl, as she's still not, like, when she was in the dark universe, she was not able to come back to her tangible state. But now, back in the regular universe, she can't come back to her tangible state because when she does, everything she touches explodes. This, again, it's a fun team dynamic. They all play their parts. They all have their voice, which they have their disagreements. You feel for them. And some of them you don't like Mr. Terrific kind of just, it's not that I don't like him, but like, he's that like dry, just like, I gotta do my job. Like, let me do my job. Like, you do your job, I'm gonna do my job. Like, I just kind of imagine like that's how he's talking, like, in my head. So yeah, they come back and they're like, they kind of have this realization. Before we get too far, this issue is not without its gripes, and I will, as we get to them, I'll let you know what they are for me. They're not deal killers by any means, but they break just some of the things as I was reading, and I'm like, I could have done without that, or I didn't understand that. That was a little confusing. So, they kind of start having this like argument about like, well, what to do now. Mr. Terrific says, we can't be more than a mile apart or we explode. So they have to figure out that they're going to stay here, which is at Mr. Terrific's entrepreneurial enemy, Mr. Stagg. I can't remember what his first name is. At his like Tony Stark-esque mansion on the side of a cliff. But he kind of like pokes fun. Stagg pokes fun at like Terrific. He's like, well, you're going to go back to your lab. He's like, I bought all of your lab equipment anyway, so there's no point to you leaving. Just stay here, figure it out. Meanwhile, like Rex and Mr. Plastic Man get into it. There's kind of like a little bit of a, this is the part of the story I didn't like. So they're kind of getting settled in. There's a little bit of a running joke. Stagg's assistant's this caveman guy named Java, and he's like, oh, and Java? He's like, yes. He's like, clean that up. He's like, And there's a little callback to that later on. But then you kind of get this break in the story, and one, I hate narration blocks in books that don't require narration blocks. Like, I don't understand why this is even here. Meanwhile, in northeastern Michigan, Marge Bettman and Trisha Keeler are busy gossiping as usual. And they kind of like blah 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 blah. They don't know the half of it, but they're about to. Like, I get that this may be a setup for a future storyline or whatever, but these boxes, completely useless. Completely. They could have... You could remove these blocks, maybe just keep the location, but I don't need to know these two randos' names. I don't need to know what they're doing. I can see they're gossiping. Their word bubbles tell me they're gossiping. Like, you know, they don't even know the half of it, but they're about to. And then you get this, like, again, what appears to be like an evil metamorpho, who's then able to turn other people into metamorphos, I guess. Which, this brings me back to my not a issue, maybe like a little nitpick, and maybe you guys could answer this down in the comments. I am unclear on what Metamorpho's powers are outside of, I know he can kind of like, was it the Absorbing Man? He can pretty much change the his like metaphysical properties to suit any material. So it could be like metal, or, you know, wood or air, concrete, whatever. Like, he can change it to that. That's what I assumed his power, like, that's what I figured his abilities were. But then, and again, this is like, so another crappy narration, but this is a story for another day. Right now, our team has more than enough on their hands. So why did you even show this to us? Like, why? Why was this even in here? Like, you know what? I understand why it's in here. Why is this stupid word bubble here? Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, you could have not said this, and this whole thing would have made perfect sense. So then you get this, like, really great, scene between Rex and Sapphire, where, you know, Rex is like, hey, look, your dad's a real piece of work. Like, he's always asking me to do stuff for him that, like, I find questionable. You know, but I only do it because I love you. I have trouble saying no to him. She's like, well, he's my dad, so you better say yes to him, pretty much like this. Which, by the way, Sapphire, not bad. So they get in an argument. Meanwhile, you know, this giant war wheel, which comes into play from the cover, starts attacking. And so they kind of go into action through, like, team dynamics. They start, you know, doing their thing. Now, I don't know if this is an editing faux pas, but right here, Mr. Terrific says, Linya, touch those guns. So, obviously, it makes sense of why she's gonna, you know, it's like, because she's gonna explode them. And then, like, that's her power now. Like, if she becomes tangible, anything she touches explodes. But then in this panel, right here, somebody, who knows why, like who this is, says, Phantom Girl, what are you doing? As she's touching the guns to explode them. Like, she's doing what Mr. Terrific told her to do. You know, it's like, and who is this? Like, who is even saying that? Again, this bubble is unnecessary. Half of what she says here is unnecessary. I'm nitpicking because I hold some things to a higher standard. But this is where I start questioning what Rex's powers actually are. Because I get Plastic Man becomes a big old slingshot or whatever. But, like, again, Rex, I just assumed, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I don't know a lot about Metamorpho. He could just, again, change his physique. But here he's changing his shape as well. Which leads me to believe you have, like, two shapeshifters on your team, and it feels a little redundant. Needless to say, they kind of, you know, they win. Spoiler alert. But it kind of has a funny little bit of an end, and we kind of get back to, what they're going to do now that they're all stuck together. This, and I just kind of realized this with, it kind of feels like Sideways, where, like when Derek is trying to escape the space-time keeper, and one of his rifts like reopens and like black goop comes out and attacks a duck. That's going to be something later on. I get that. The part with this like evil metamorpho attacking a town in Michigan, like, it seems a little more in your face of, this is a future plot point. This is a future plot point. They could have been a little more subtle about it. That's all I'm saying. Pick it up, read it. The series is good. I am nitpicking when at the little things in this, but it's a fun book. If you want classic comic feeling, of a team that's not perfect, of things, going wrong, hilarious banter between Plastic Man and Metamorpho. It is great. Pick this up. Subscribe over here, watch some more videos, hit me up in the comments, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you next time.